Hey, this is Adreana with the Girls Gone Menopause podcast. Allison is away today, but I have a really special guest. The Girls Gone Menopause podcast concentrates on profiling dynamic women, and sitting in front of me is Miss Vicki Stuckey. She was the first African-American female on the Lakewood, California City Council, but she's had an interesting life even outside of that. She is the definition of a dynamic woman, and I am so excited to be talking to her today. Good afternoon, Miss Stuckey.
Andrea, and thank you for inviting me here today.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. All right, Miss Stuckey, let's just start at the beginning. Tell me where you grew up.
My mom and my dad, I grew up in Compton, California.
Okay.
I graduated from Lynwood High School, and from Lynwood High School, I went to Compton Community College, where I earned an AA degree.
Okay.
And then I went on to Cal State Long Beach.
Go Beach!
Go Beach, where I earned a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice. And during all that time, I have to put a shout out to my Girl Scouting program. I started as a Brownie troop at like age 7 or 8, and I stayed with the scouting program until I graduated from high school. Subsequently to that, I was actually a recruiter for the Girl Scouts Association, and I still keep in contact with my Girl Scout leader.
Get out of town.
All right, Jackie Cochran. That's
right.
my Girl Scout leader.
Okay,
yes.
So look for an upcoming podcast where I interview Jackie Cochran. All right. So tell us how you got into the sheriff's department at Altadena. Tell us what brought that on.
So my major was in criminal justice, but I can never say that I was that little kid that said, oh, I want to become a deputy sheriff. But I happened to see an article in the Sentinel newspaper that the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department was hiring.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the test. I passed the written test. However, the first time I took the physical agility test, I wasn't successful.
Okay.
So the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department offered a class in the evening that would prepare you for the physical agility. Because as we know, women do not have the strength,
the upper body strength.
And
right.
So they were conditioning you for that test.
Part of the test. Okay, got it.
And I, once the test came up, after we had completed like 6 or 8 weeks of it, I went and took the test, and I was successful, and I passed. And from then on, I had a background that was done by an officer.
Mm-hmm.
From then I was hired on as what they call a pre-acad prior to us going into the academy.
Oh, okay.
I worked at the women's jail, which was called Civil Brand Institute, which is now closed.
Okay.
And I received an academy date,
okay.
And I went through the academy. And I'm going to tell you, when we would run, kind of like in the military, you would sing different things.
Right.
And one of the things I always remember is that they would say 18 weeks of living hell just to work the county jail, because all deputy sheriffs, we start in the jail.
Right.
And like I said, I started at Civil Brand Institute. I worked there for 2.5 years, and then I had submitted paperwork to go to patrol.
Okay.
And my first patrol assignment was Norwalk Sheriff Station.
Okay.
I completed patrol training, and I stayed at Norwalk as a deputy and was promoted to a detective.
Okay.
Then some years later, I was promoted to a sergeant.
Oh, wow.
I was a sergeant for quite a few years, and I promoted to a lieutenant.
Okay.
And subsequently, I was promoted to a captain, and my assignment was Altadena Sheriff Station. I did 34 beautiful years with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And upon retirement, I signed up to become a reserve deputy. So for 3 years after I retired, I was a reserve deputy. So a reserve deputy goes through the same background as a regular deputy sheriff. However, they are more or less volunteers. There are some assignments where they are paid. I started off working at the Compton Youth Athletic League.
Oh.
Because I grew up in Compton. We have a youth athletic league. So 3 or 4 days a week, I would meet with the deputies at we call it the YAL.
Mm-hmm.
There would be different programs that the kids could be involved in. The first hour or so, it was study time. So the kids came right from school,
did their homework.
They had a light lunch, and they did their homework. We were able to help them with their homework, and then on different days they had different classes. So we had volunteers come in teaching kids different things. There's a boxing. They have a boxing rink at the YAL.
Wow.
They have a mini soccer field at the YAL. They can learn, at the time I was there, they could even learn how to build their own skateboard. And upon completing the skateboard program, the kid got to walk home with their
actual
own skateboard.
So is the YAL still open?
Yes, they are still open in certain stations. So Compton Station has a YAL. I know Industry Station has a YAL. The other stations, I'm not for sure, because I don't know, because I'm removed from the sheriff's department.
Right.
But if anybody is interested in their kids joining a program like that, they could call their local LA County Sheriff's Department and ask them if they have a YAL or a youth athletic
at their
station, and get the information from their local sheriff's station.
So when you were growing up in Compton, were YALs open, and did you go to them?
No, they were not open to my knowledge. No.
So did you see a difference in what happened when you grew up and being able to positively interact with the kids when you were, like, the YAL was open? Did you see a difference when how those kids perceive law enforcement to how it was when you were growing up and there was no YAL?
So I was a Girl Scout, so I always had things to do after school. I didn't. My mother kept our schedule busy.
Right.
But working at the YAL with kids, a lot of kids go home to an empty home because mom and dad have to work.
Right.
But they're coming to a structured program. They're getting help with their homework, and they're learning that when you see a deputy sheriff on the street, he or she is not there to do negative things towards you. We're there to learn that bonding, so they can come up to me and say, Deputy Stuckey, how you doing? And I'm having this problem.
Right.
Or, it could be a family problem. It could be their homework.
Right.
But I'm sitting there, our deputies are sitting there one-on-one or in a group setting to talk to them. So kids, when they grow up, they're 17 and 18, and they start to go like south. If something ever happens, they always know that they could go to a deputy sheriff. And I taught this to my niece because she went away to college. And I taught it to my nephew. If something ever happens and it's dramatic and you need to tell the deputy, I always tell them, just stand away from the deputy. When the deputy gets finished, say, ma'am or sir, I think I have some information I need to share with you. And then you can share it with the deputy. And that did happen to my niece when she was in college. There was an incident. The police department responded, and after it was over, she told the officer that the person that was arrested was on her track team. And so the officer said, okay, I'm going to give you all this information. She didn't have a pen or pencil. She wrote it all on her thigh. And then she called her track coach and said, this is what happened. I need you to come down. So by me always sharing that with her, my family always knows once the situation is calmed down, then that's when you contact law enforcement. Or if you have to leave, when you get home, contact the station and leave a message for them to call you. And just wait till it calms down. And you just build friendships, and you just build
connections,
rapport with kids, and they are not afraid. Especially sometimes in our minority communities, they think it's negative, but we're here to help. And I always love helping people. I know that sounds just like a cliche, but I truly do. So I promoted to a captain. I was assigned to Altadena Sheriff Station, which is in the unincorporated area of Los Angeles County. You guys know about the devastating fires that went on. I've made some contact with some folks up there that I knew, and I kind of stay in contact with them. So please keep our families in Altadena
in our prayers.
Prayers.
Absolutely. Yes. So you started out in the women's jail.
Yes.
Tell me what what you saw or what you experienced in the women's jail that made you say, you know what, I really want to stay here. I really want to make a career out of this, or what happened that led you in that way? Because when we were talking before we ran, you said it wasn't really your intention to be in law enforcement in that way. So what happened?
So once I graduated and I went through the jail, I hate to say it, but you know how you judge other people. So when you go to it, like you go to a new job, you're like, okay, that's a supervisor, and you think, she does a good job, and I can do that same thing. So that's what I kind of looked at, is that I would look at other females that were working and just kind of model after what they were doing.
Okay.
And then I think over time, you build up your confidence. Well, you have to have confidence to get even started.
True.
Excuse me. And then I was like, okay, I've learned all this stuff about the jail. Let me put my paperwork in to go to patrol. Because patrol is definitely not the jail. Because we always look at the jail, and it is. We have people that are confined because you have 4 walls.
Right.
But when you're out on the street,
it's the whole world.
It's the whole world.
Right.
So you learn how to talk to people. You learn how to interview people and such. So I put my name in to go to patrol, and people ask me, weren't you kind of scared? Well, I was a little afraid, never scared, because going out to patrol, I had a field training officer who was a senior deputy that needed to take me through the training program and to evaluate me at every stage of the way to say if I've learned everything where I can eventually go out on my
your own. Okay.
And yes, it was definitely difficult. And my first assignment was on the night shift.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I worked from 10 at night to 6 in the morning.
Oh, so you saw all the things. Okay.
You saw everything. And I did that for probably like 2.5 months.
Oh, wow.
And then I was rotated to what I call our PM shift, which is like either 2 p.m. to 10 or 3 to 11. And that's still also a very busy time. And on the streets, so to speak. And then I was advised that I had completed all my evaluations, and I was now off the field training program. And then I was assigned to a 1-person unit by myself. So so I was like, I was the CEO of my radio car. I met a lot of people in the community. Like I said, I worked in Norwalk. So we had the cities of Norwalk. At that time, we also had Santa Fe Springs. We had La Mirada and the unincorporated areas of Whittier. And so I was basically assigned to either Santa Fe Springs or Norwalk or Whittier. Depending on what my assignment was. Was it difficult? Some nights it really was. Some nights you would get in your radio car and you would already be down like 3 or 4 calls for service. And I can tell you probably the night that I always remember is when the riots started.
I was going to ask you about that. Tell me about that night.
So the day that the riots started, so the riots didn't start till about 4 or 5.
On. Okay. So Ms. Stuckey and I are old folks. We know what we're talking about for this. She's talking about not the George Floyd situation. She's talking about the Rodney King situation. Okay. Yes. So go on.
So on that day, sometimes I would work overtime before my shift as I worked out of the school. It's kind of like a truant officer or something. I would kind of patrol around the school. If the kids were ditching, hey, what school do you belong to? Come on, let me get you back into school.
Okay.
Or any incidents that went on in the campus. So I worked from 10 a.m. to 2. At 2 o'clock, my regular shift started. Because I was going to work 2 to 10.
Got it.
So at about 4:30 or 5, we had an all call. On our in-service sheets, it talks about who's on the response team, and I was on the response team. And our lieutenant brought us all in basically to tell us that we needed to get into a format where we were going to be going out, assisting the Firestone area with their calls for service, because now it was starting to come into our area.
Okay.
And so we had our talk from our lieutenant, and our sergeant went out with us as a team. We all kind of stayed together, that type of thing. But I can always remember, so that was before cell phones.
Right.
So I would always let my family know that I was going to be late.
Right.
So I called home and I talked to my nephew, my sister's oldest, And I said, I'll bleep his name. And I said, and Auntie's going to be home late. Have you been watching the TV? And he said, yes. I said, well, I have to go out and help in the riots. And he said, but Auntie, I love you. And the chills just went.
I know
Oh
they did.
my gosh.
I know they did.
So that was one of the longest nights in my career because I worked all the way till 6 o'clock the next morning.
Oh, wow.
And for the next week, so that was what we call like day 01. From then on, we were put on 12-hour shifts. So just as the clock switched, when I got off at 6 in the morning, then I was told I had to be back work at 6 p.m. So imagine your body, telling your body you're going home at 6 in the morning, you got to sleep, and you got to be back at work at correct in the morning. So that day you go home and you try and go to bed. You try and get as much sleep as you can. And so I want to say for about 4 or 5 days we were on 12-hour shifts. So when an emergency happens in the county, there's an ordinance that's passed, and then we're now on 12-hour shifts, and our days off are canceled.
Oh wow!
Yes, they're canceled. But if you like have airline tickets or vacation that you've put out money for, then of course the county is going to say go ahead and take that. But for the rest of us, we're working 12-hour shifts.
Wow!
And I want to say that it lasted for about I think about 4 or 5 days. I can't remember like back that far. But so that's what I can remember about my my patrol assignments, and I enjoyed patrol.
So you still are in contact with many of the people that you were connected to when you were in the sheriff's department.
Yeah, periodically.
So I want to bring it forward to George Floyd and just ask you from the side of the aisle of someone who has been in law enforcement and who still has connections with many of her colleagues. What do law enforcement people feel about the way the public perception of law enforcement by many people? It used like communities of color have been complaining for decades about law enforcement, but it seemed to me that when the George Floyd incident happened, the whiter community started to perceive law enforcement in a different way. And I just want to hear from somebody who was in law enforcement, especially a Black person that was in law enforcement, like what your thoughts were, what you heard your old colleagues saying about that change in perception.
I think many of them did change, and a lot of our policies were changed. Not that our policies were bad, but there were policies that now require that if you did this, there's certain incidents where a supervisor has to be notified. But then I feel like it was expanded.
Okay.
Because now the sheriff's department is like, okay, now this is what's happening. We need to capture that, and we need to interview the people that are complaining right away.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to tell you that the public would ever lie to us. But if you go home and talk to your brother or your sister,
your story can get changed just because you were talking to all those people.
So I think there was more boxes that needed to be checked.
Okay.
Whereas before, the boxes were not only on certain incidents, and it was just more paperwork that we had to do. More people had to be talked to when a major incident then occurred. And I would always say that I feel like, and I'm not going to be judgmental, but the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department always was in the forefront regarding policies. They were like jumping ahead before they would get that. Not that we never had anything bad, anything bad, but I feel like they were always like upfront and trying to mitigate, because when you're talking about mitigation, you're talking about dollars, and those are our county tax dollars, stuff like that. So I think we were always most of our sheriffs were very forward thinking, and we tried to mitigate,
make the improvements, not just be stuck in the old way. Got you.
Mm-hmm.
So you just did a very good job of explaining how processes changed within the department.
Mm-hmm.
But what are you able to speak to how the individual officers may have felt about the way you dedicated your life to this profession? You were with them for 3 decades.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure many of your colleagues were also. So how did they feel about the way the public was talking about their profession?
So we're always being criticized.
Sure.
So you have to listen, and you have to talk to them, and then give them another avenue, or give our perspective on it. Why we have to do what we have to do.
Right.
Certain times people don't understand Why? Because they don't see everything
Right.
that goes on. But maybe if I saw you, and just before I saw you shove a gun somewhere. Well, the public doesn't see that.
Right, right.
So we have to take action because we want to save our life.
Right.
So I would tell you, and I would always share this, if you feel like you were done unjustly, you can call any Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and ask to speak to the watch commander. And you speak with the watch commander or an acting watch commander. And if you'd like to file a complaint, file the complaint. And when you file the complaint, follow up.
Yes.
Because many times people will make allegations, and that's what they are in the beginning. It is an allegation.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
Got it.
But if you, when they're calling you to interview you, and we make numerous attempts calling you, we send letters to you. If you don't respond, then we have deadlines.
Right.
That say that
we got to close this case because you didn't follow up with this.
Right. And so when you don't follow up, I can't say that you, deputy, did this. Right. I can look at it and go, maybe, but unless so-and-so can justify it, we have to close it as unresolved.
Right. Got it.
So I would tell you that if you see something that you think is inappropriate and you'd like to file a complaint, you can file a complaint with any sheriff's station. Now, if your family member or something is incarcerated in the jail, then you have to call the local jail. But any station can take any complaint from any station.
Oh, got it. You don't have to go to the one.
No.
Got it.
So, and there is, and I don't know it by heart, my apologies. There is a 1-800 number that you can call to file a complaint.
Got it.
And on the other side, if a deputy comes out to your house or your business and they do something extraordinary, then call and give them their commendation.
Give them their flowers. Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
We need to always do that. And deputies feel good that somebody took 2 or 3 minutes
to say, hey, you did me a service on that day. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. All right. So tell me how you transitioned, what you did after you transitioned out of law enforcement and how that put you in a position to be appointed to the city council for Lakewood.
Okay, so
wait, hold on. I do want to hear that story. But first, your face glows when you talk about your time with the sheriff's department. So I almost don't want to ask this question, but do you feel you faced any special challenges as a woman in the sheriff's department?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes. Periodically you would maybe run into, or excuse me, you would run into deputies that you knew that they did not like to work with females.
Okay.
And we as females, we talk. Just like men talk, we talk. So, you just go ahead and do your job.
Right.
You do the best that you can.
Right.
But there's very few of them because our department has changed so much. Even when I was on it, regarding inappropriate comments or anything like that.
Like you said, they're on the vanguard, so they're tightening up their policy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they've been doing that for many years. And the sheriff's department has always been on the forefront of changing policy.
When you came in, were they more diverse than, say, the other sheriff's departments in the...
So the sheriff's departments are for the county.
Right.
So we're LA County. And I don't know about
San Diego County or San Bernardino.
Okay. I don't know, but women have always been the minority in law enforcement.
Sure.
So I can just speak on behalf of.
So were there any challenges you felt you faced, not as a woman, but as an African American in the LA County Sheriff's Department when you were coming up?
I think I was kind of outspoken, but a low outspoken.
Sure.
And there was an incident one time where a deputy said something to me.
Right.
And I don't say that I stood up to him, but I just listened to what he had to say.
Right.
And when he was finished, I go, "Are you finished?" And he said yes. And I just did an about face and walked away.
Right.
I didn't feel like I needed to even
justify all that nonsense.
Let me save that breath for something else.
Right.
But because our department had been sued regarding stuff like that, that was always briefed on a regular basis regarding treating each and every person, public, anybody you come in contact with respect and dignity.
Got it. So you are serious when you say the sheriff's department was ahead because they were trying to deal with cut these issues off. Okay.
Right, because if they saw something, not that we were a perfect organization,
no.
But if we did something wrong and when I say it cost us, that means that we went to court.
And had to spend money. Right.
Or if LAPD went to court and they had to spend some money, then we were changing our policies, and other agencies, other agencies always look to the sheriff's department
Right.
and to LAPD because we're
The
like
biggest.
the largest.
Right,
Yes.
right,
And
right.
so our policies
So
will
now
change.
I want to ask you a political question.
Oh no.
Which is it. There are organizations nationally and here in the state of California that would like to see when a department gets sued, be it a sheriff's department or a PD, that the money not come from the taxpayers, but come from the actual pension of the sheriffs, the pension fund of the sheriffs or the police officers. What are your thoughts? Like make it be their money so that they act right instead of the taxpayers' money. What does that mean to them? What are your thoughts on that?
So when we do something wrong and we get punished and we get days off, our salary gets affected.
Right.
So if I get, let's say that I use excessive force on someone and it goes and the department does their investigation.
Right.
And I don't have the sheet on me regarding days off, but they'll give you days off and we get days off without pay.
Got it.
Yeah, so that is a form of not only discipline, but giving you time to reflect.
Right.
But should it affect my pension? I don't think so because I've given you 34 years. Now, do you want to take $1 million from me? I know I'm not for that. We get disciplined and we can get terminated. And if we get terminated, no other agency is going to hire us. So we do get disciplined with days off without pay. And sometimes you can be transferred to another unit of assignment. And so like as a deputy sheriff, and then we have what we call bonus deputies. Sometimes they can even demote you. So if you're a sergeant, if you do something that's really egregious, they can demote you back down to a deputy. Oh. So it can affect us financially.
Okay.
So no, I don't think it should. The discipline needs to come when the incident occurs. Don't wait until I retire 20 years and say, now you want my $1.5 million. No,
okay.
we couldn't afford, we really couldn't afford that. So we do become disciplined. Sometimes when you're under disciplinary action, you could be wanting to transfer somewhere, but because of
the disciplinary, you can't. Right.
You're not going to be able to. And you might want some assignment that you really wanted to go to.
Too bad, so sad.
But now you've been disciplined. You may not be able to get that type of an assignment for a little while.
Got it. All right.
Yeah,
so now, please tell us how you transitioned out of the sheriff's department and then what you were doing to put you in a position to be appointed. And then tell us about the scandal that made that guy have to resign. I want to hear all about that.
So before I was even, while I was working for the sheriff's department, I was appointed to the Public Safety Commission by Councilman Todd Rogers, who is still on our
So you were living
council.
in Lakewood by that time?
Yes, so to be a commissioner for the city of Lakewood, well, all commissioners for cities, you have to live in the city.
When did you move to Lakewood?
In 1991.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
In the 90s, okay.
Yes, so when Todd Rogers got appointed to the city council, and I'm sorry, Todd, I don't remember what year it was, but every commissioner can appoint one person to the public safety, to the planning, and to the recreation commission.
Got it.
So he appointed me to the safety commission because I have a background in law enforcement.
Right.
And so I did that for a long time. And then there became a vacancy. The person that was representing him on the planning commission stepped away. And so then I became a planning and environment commissioner.
Okay.
And so I have remained on the Planning and Environment Commission. And there was one time I wasn't on the commission at all when I was on the council. And then once I was off the council, I was asked to be back on the Planning Commission.
Okay.
So
all right.
I've done that for a while.
All right. So you were already on planning and from there, that's when you got appointed. Tell me the circumstances that even made it so that you got appointed.
So Councilmember Diane Du Bois, who's an excellent, beautiful woman, had been on the council for many, many years. And she resigned her position. And the city council had to decide either they were going to have an election or they were
Which
just
is expensive.
See, so you know it's expensive. So they said that they would appoint someone, and this was during COVID. So I used to watch the council meetings
on Zoom.
On Zoom. So I'm sitting there with my laptop, and they're having this discussion, and Todd nominated me, and there was some talk back and forth, and then they did the vote, and I got appointed to the.
And you're sitting there on the laptop going, "Wait, what?"
Exactly. And then once the council meeting was over, then Todd's calling me, telling me congratulations. And then our city manager, who is Thaddeus McCormick, is like, "Hey Vic, I need you at the I need you at the over at City Hall tomorrow, like at 10 o'clock in the morning, because we need you to get all this paperwork signed.
Plus, we need to swear you in.
Swear you in, and this is COVID because they need to get everything done."
Right.
So that next morning, I got up. I had called my parents, and my mom went down to City Hall, and I was sworn in as a city council member.
Wow. So, what is the most challenging vote? The vote that you were like, "Oh, I really have to deliberate in my mind about this," while you were sitting on city council?
You know, I can't think of anything that like really stood in my head. Like law enforcement, I can remember things.
Right.
But the city of Lakewood is a very well-run, well-oiled machine.
That is the truth.
It really is. They do a lot of research before items come up on the agenda. And when you get your agenda packet for the various items that are on the agenda, they're very well written.
Mm-hmm.
They're very well thought out, and they're following the law.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't remember anything that was really like
controversial or provocative.
No.
Okay.
Nothing really kind of like comes to mind. But I learned a lot. I had a great time on the city council, and now I'm back a planning commissioner, and I enjoy being on the Planning and Environment Commission also.
All right, so now I want to talk about things that are away from work. The reason that I even know Miss Stuckey is that my church brother's wife is in a quilting society with her. So tell me how you got into quilting.
So both of my grandmothers were seamsters, so to speak. My maternal grandmother, I used to sometimes during the summer when I was like in high school, I would go to her sewing classes in the morning at the Boys and Girls Club. And that's kind of like how I learned how to start sewing. And then I started taking classes at different material shops. And I just kind of like got into quilting. I would even take adult school classes. Working for the sheriff's department, I could take a class in the morning because I worked in the afternoon. And I would take and whatever class fit into my schedule, then that's where I would go take another class at.
Got it.
And then one year, they had the expo at in Los Angeles, the one that's now on Crenshaw.
Right.
And so I went there, and there was a pop-up, and it was the African American Quilters of Los Angeles.
Wow.
A quilting guild.
Wow.
And I picked up some of their literature, and I started going to their meetings, and they meet on the third Sunday of the month. And it's a group of women. We do have a few male members that we meet, like I said, once a month. We have a whole schedule and everything, and we go there to meet, camaraderie, to share ideas. And our guild grew so much that we asked people to get into groups within our guild, so then you can have a separate meeting, so you're not just doing the business meeting.
Right.
So I'm part of what we call the Black Butterflies, and they meet at my house on the third Sunday. And so I'm a part of the African American Quilters. But let's go back to Lakewood. So Lakewood has a class, and it's under Parks and Recreation, and it's called the Tuesday Morning Sewing Circle.
Okay.
And it's in the catalog, and you sign up, and many of the ladies in our class have been going to this class for 10 or 15 years.
Oh.
It is a great group of ladies. We have had a couple of men in our class, but most of the time it's ladies, females. And you can bring whatever you want to work on, and you work on it. Sometimes somebody will say, hey, I want to demo something, and they'll demo it. And then maybe the next week we'll all make it. And that's something small. But somebody will even share a pattern, and then we'll all make it. We partner with the City of Lakewood's Project Shepherd. And this year we have made over 300 pillowcases.
Wow.
So if any young people receive gifts from the City of Lakewood Project Shepherd, and you receive a pillowcase, it's probably from the Tuesday morning sewing circle. So we do that as our contribution to the City of Lakewood. A couple of years ago, we actually made about 150 quilts and donated them to Project Shepherd.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me, if you're if you're talking to women that are coming into menopause, and doing that transition, how important do you feel it is to have some kind of community, whether it's your church, whether it's your sewing circle? Like, community seems to have played a huge part in who you are. And what would you say to other women about?
So I would say that throughout life, you always need to be involved in something. Don't wait till a major incident.
Right.
But try and pick up a few things during your lifetime. So when you get into retirement, you're not bored.
Right.
I am never bored.
Right.
So find different things. And within the city of Lakewood, I mean, you can even look in their recreation catalog. There's so many different programs that you can get involved in.
Right.
They have day classes, they have night classes, they have afternoon classes. And a lot of them are geared toward the senior male or female.
More mature women.
More mature, yes, the more mature women. Yes.
Right, so, right. And
yes.
Didn't you tell me that you had started out as a brownie and went all the way through high school and still know people from your troop?
So I started off at Bellevue Presbyterian Church in Los Angeles as a brownie scout. And my one of my Girl Scout leaders was Jackie Cochran.
Wow.
She was our Girl Scout leader. And then each time we would matriculate up, she would go up and then we would come up.
So you got to stay with her the whole time?
The whole time until we graduated out of high school.
Got it. Hold on one second. Okay, so Jackie Cochran was the lawyer Cochran.
No.
Cochran?
No,
okay,
this is a female.
Oh.
This is a female named Jackie Cochran.
Okay.
Not the male Jackie Cochran that represented O.J. Simpson.
The wife of?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Not
Sorry. Go on.
This is just Jackie Cochran.
Okay.
Who went to who was my Girl Scout leader.
Okay.
So I've always stayed in contact with her because as you become a young person, sometimes you need a letter of recommendation,
mentorship, whatever.
Exactly. So I could call and ask her if she could write a letter to give an overview of what we did in the scouting program.
Right.
And now for probably like the last 15, 20 something years, I also go to the AME church. So I go to New Philadelphia AM in Long Beach.
Okay.
And she goes to the AME church in Los Angeles. And
so
periodically
at the denominational meetings. Got it.
Get to see her.
So you were telling me that growing up in Compton, your mom kept you and your brothers and your sister schedule full. And so how important do you think that was, that you had these structured activities outside of school that, like, how did that help develop your sense of wanting to give back? I mean, your grandma taught taught other kids how to sew, your parents having you in structured activities and your grandparents being give backers. How did that influence you?
So I think all kids need some structure in their life.
Right.
And so my mom made sure that we always had some type of my mom and my dad, who are still married to this day, had structure. So me and my sister were in scouting, and my brothers played baseball. But then they kind of, as they got into high school, they didn't really get into sports. But she kept them, kind of busy.
Okay.
So I think it's any activity that you can find that your kids can be involved in, and it doesn't have to be baseball or softball, but find something to keep their minds occupied.
That's the truth.
Else, as they get older, unoccupied mind can sometimes
That's the devil's handiwork. Yep. That's an old saying. Yes. All right. Well, are there any other mature woman lessons that you think are so important, have been so important in your life?
I would say to stay as healthy as you can.
Whew, that mean? What's your exercise regimen?
So I haven't done it for 2 weeks, but I usually try and get up and do a walk, run for like 3 miles, at least like 3 times a week.
Okay.
Look for me in the city of Lakewood.
At Hartwell Park?
No. Hartwell Park is in Long Beach.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. I take it back. All right. You're right.
That's all right.
Okay.
So the I think it's the Seroptimus Club of City of Lakewood. Will have a run that's in February or March.
Oh, okay. And 5K, 10K?
You can do either the 5 or the 10K.
Okay.
And it starts right here on Clark in front of the Los Angeles County Lakewood Sheriff Station.
Okay.
You can register online. You can even go to the City of Lakewood and go to their website, and it'll take you to our 5 and 10K run that runs down Clark, and it goes up South Street and all that. And it's I want to say it's about a couple of thousand people that participate in the run.
And are you training with a group, or are you training on your own?
No, I just kind of train by myself.
All right, so stay as healthy as you can. What else?
I would and stay involved in some type of activity to get you out and interact with people.
Right.
And again, I go back to the city of Lakewood. They have all these different programs, even over at the senior center
Right.
or whatever. But stay healthy. Don't be involved in something, because that keeps your mind right.
True.
It keeps your body right.
True.
And all that. But
True.
that's what I would say.
True.
You know, just stay active.
And
that's
you are a member of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And what role has faith played in just in your career or in your like how heavily do you lean on your faith?
I think I lean on it enough, and I'm involved enough in our church. And we have a great pastor, and I'm part of our missionary society.
Oh, nice.
So God is very important in my life, and I know that He kept me safe through my 34 years.
34 years, that's
in
true.
Law enforcement.
That is true.
Yes.
That is true.
Yes.
That is true.
Yes.
Oh, Vicki, it's been so wonderful talking to you. I'm really glad that we got to interview you, and I hope to bring you back when other things are going on in Lakewood, just to have a discussion so you can keep us updated.
Okay, and thank you so much and thank you, Linda Fowler, for referring me.
Yes,
so,
that's Chuck Fowler's life. Chuck and I go to the same church.
Okay, so anyway, so thank you.
All right, wonderful, great. I hope you had a good time. I'm so